Hi, I'm back here with Steve from the inventor of SightRight. Our first video, Play Perfect Darts 1, has now had over 314,000 views on YouTube.
Cool.
As a result, the SightRight momentum is gathering huge pace now. It's become a mainstream topic about darts. We're seeing it on TV with commentary. We see it raised by high-level professionals and people who play county level. We're getting a lot of questions. There's a lot of debate about, some see it as voodoo, some see... So what we want to do with this update to the video is answer some of those questions and go back to what you see is the most important way to help any dart player.
Okay, cool.
So if we start with the perfect sighting, Steve, talk us through that.
Well, to me, the perfect sighting is straight down the centre line of the dartboard, in line with the way your two eyes see one straight line. And I think if you look at 3 or 4 best players in the world, Phil Taylor, MVG, Anderson, straight down the centre line, Lewis, straight down the centre line. All of their darts come from their eyes where they see a straight line of aim. No different to looking down the barrel of a gun.
So that's as you say, you're a purist, you'd like to see that position, but we're getting inquiries where people are saying, I've tried to move, I can't, I go into match day, it feels so wrong. So let's address, why would it feel different? Let's say a person who stands off to the right of the oche and the purist position down the centre. Why would that feel odd?
I think the difference between standing to the left or right of the oche is the moment you move, if you've been standing in those positions for so long, there's almost like a fear of moving to a new position, and it does feel different. And getting used to how that feels is quite important.
Is that weighted throw? You've talked about distance and symmetry, haven't you?
Well, the symmetry of a person who sights and stands and aligns straight down the centre board means they always get an even throw to the extremities of the board. Whereas if you turn around and look at somebody who's sighting from the right-hand side or aligning, setting up their position from the right-hand side of the board, then they will have a longer throw to the left and a shorter throw to the right, but also their darts are more inclined to go in at an angle right to left. And over this side, it will block that side of the board. And the same is for the opposite side, for a person who stands on the left-hand side of the board. Again, to the right-hand side will be a slightly longer throw. To the left-hand side will be slightly shorter. And of course, the darts will go in at an angle from left to right.
Depending on, and that angle, will that get more extreme the further away offline you are?
Yes.
Okay, but can that be cured from standing in a comfortable position but learning to sight properly?
Yes, I believe that anybody who stands on either side of the oche can still learn to sight perfectly to ensure that when they're set up, they're aligned and sighted straight down the dart. Now they can do that with the SightRight, no different to a person who stands centre line to check themselves and to make sure that they're seeing straight down the centre line.
So what we're getting, Steve, the question we want to answer today is, what are the processes for you to teach me to have a good sighted throw, but from an off-centre position, so I can still benefit from SightRight?
Okay, so I would take you to your normal position and get you to set up in the normal way that you throw your dart. Okay, so 2 questions I would ask. Do you believe that you're sighting straight down the line of aim that you're choosing, albeit from a different angle? And can you see the flight of the dart when you fly, when you throw the dart?
So when you mean the flight of the dart, you mean at no stage do you lose
sight of the dart?
Yeah, so it has to stay in the field of vision at all times.
Yeah. So starting you off in your normal position, once you've set up in what you believe to be your perfect position, we can now test that. Let's bring that same position to the centre line using the SightRight, and let's see if what you're seeing is what you believe is correct.
I see. So even though you move centre to test, the line will tell you if you're throwing from your perfect position.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So once I've achieved the throw from my perfect position and I know where the dart should go to, I can then move back and play from this position.
And when you find taking the centre line test, if you're slightly off, then obviously adjustments need to be made in the technique. Now that could be either in the foot or indeed in the throw.
Okay, so when you say the foot and the throw, so you would take all of that information back to your throwing position. So I think what we'll do now, Steve, is we'll go through some worked examples so you can see the adjustments you need to make to get perfectly sighted but not playing down the centre of the board.
And how I'd like you to think about this is, if we're sighting perfectly dead straight, now I'm slightly left-eyed, and if I bring the rifle up to my left side and see straight down through the camera lens, all right, if you wish to turn around and stand either to the left or to the right, you can do exactly the same. But what I don't believe you really want to do, if you want to see straight down the rifle barrel, is to turn around and do that.
So this is the fault we're curing, is actually so that somebody's aligning this way rather...
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at those positions, Steve. So this is step one, Steve. You're going to see where I play from first.
Okay, yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Right, so let's take you in your normal position. So if you set up to the board in your normal position on the oche, and then we're going to move you to the centre line so you take the test. Okay, all right. So let's see what happens.
All right.
So this is round to the right-hand side of the oche. All right, so at the moment, all we're now doing is looking to transfer this exact technique, stance, sighting position to the centre line. Okay. All right, so now let's move to the centre line and do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And now look down at the SightRight and tell me what you see.
Broken line.
Okay, so is the line broken to the right or to the left?
The top line is to the left of the bottom line.
Okay, so can you turn your head left or right until those lines are joined?
That's that way.
So basically...
I have to move over though. So
okay.
More there.
Right, so...
There.
Now you're very even-sighted, as we've already found out, okay? So if we look down at your stance, at your feet,
yeah,
there's probably a very good chance that you've got to turn that foot to the right, sorry, to your left.
Yeah.
All right?
To square it
like
up.
Many of the top players nowadays, which
so the
squares you up and brings the shoulder in. So what we're looking to do is, we're looking to get your throw straight in line with your sighting line. But we have to find your sighting line first.
Okay.
Okay?
So if I restand, right, that's very straight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now
my shoulders now moved round. Yeah.
And you'll feel it easier and more natural to bring the dart up in front of your sighting line.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right? So let's go back to where we were.
Okay.
All right, so you can take that exact same position to that position on the oche.
Right, okay. So I've moved effectively from here and outside to more square and in front.
But you've needed to turn that foot to bring that dart to your sighting line.
So the turning of the foot in brings the shoulder and top half and the whole body in line with my sighting line.
That's right, and it's like a gun. Where you were like that, you've just brought the gun round in front of your eyes.
Brilliant, it does. I can see straight down the dart there, yeah.
Now, the one thing to understand is that over this side of the board, your darts are still liable to go in right to left.
Which they have, yeah.
Okay, why? Because by sheer geometry, you're not straight down the centre of the board, you're actually coming in at a different angle.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree with that. So what we do, to recap, for anyone who wants to stay in the same position, learn their sighted position down the centre, even if it moves in moving the leg round.
Yeah.
And then carry this position back to where they feel comfortable.
Exactly. And so effectively, in the centre position, there is a correction that may need to be made to enable you to go back to your normal position on the oche. But the only thing that you suffer if you go back to that normal position is you still keep your short and long throw, and your darts will still go in at an angle.
So the player's going to still keep their feeling and balance that they used to have, but it's now from a better sighted position.
Yes, I believe so.
So in essence, you can still use SightRight even if you choose not to stand in the centre.
The only thing that sort of comes into play sometimes is the technique change. And sometimes it's pulling and bringing that shoulder as a right-handed player, bringing that shoulder and throwing arm in line with your eye dominance, where both eyes see the one picture. Now, that could be dead centre if you're even-eyed, slightly to the right, further to the right, or the opposite side.
And you just follow the line on the floor.
But essentially, if you just follow the line up, then
that gives you your position.
That helps you find that perfect position.
Well, we'll try and show that on the camera, shall we?
Okay,
Steve?
yeah.
All right. Right, Steve, I've taken my throw from the right here down the centre. I'm looking down and I can still see a broken line.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is just shift your whole body position left or right until those lines are perfectly joined without changing the foot angle.
Okay.
All right?
That would be there now.
Okay, so if we look straight down, we know that you're even-eyed. So at the minute, I don't know if the camera can see this, but you can see that there's a huge gap between where Simon's even-eyed sighting line is to his shoulder. And that translates into the throw. So what I'd like you to do, Simon, is I'd like you to turn that foot, that lead foot, side on, so that we bring the shoulder smack bang in line with the throw. Much closer. All right, now we can see that the arm is coming up with ease, all right, and the shoulder's much more easier or much more able to actually throw that dart in a straight line along your sighting line. Okay?
Perfect.
And are the lines straight?
Absolutely spot on.
Cool.
So this is now the position, if I want to play left or right of the oche, that I would be in, so I'm sighted. So
what we've had to do is we've had to, in basically showing you and testing you on the centre line, it is highlighted that in your stance to the right-hand side of the oche, you were still sighting offline. We've now tested that and corrected it, but we've had to make an element of adjustment in your technique to bring your throw in line with your sighting line.
Brilliant. So I'm back in my throwing position now, off centre, and you just want me to address my foot turned and in my sighted position.
And this will be exactly the same as you corrected yourself to when you took that centre line position.
Okay, so if I move back to check my centre position.
So this is calibration for you to ensure that you can check and make sure that you've got everything perfectly aligned.
That is. So the camera angle tells me that I've been off centre by about 25 degrees.
Yeah.
So when I come back to my 25 degree off centre, I can still play from a sighted position even though I'm 25 degrees off.
Yeah, because effectively what we've done is we needed to answer the question that says, why can't I do this? Why can't I play from this off-centre position? Well, you can, but let's remind ourselves, if you choose to do that, then you will not have the same weighted throws both to the left and right-hand side of the board as someone who's perfectly even. Now, that can give them an edge because I think it drives consistency.
So, but it also allows me to make what could be quite a big change into bite-sized chunks.
It does give you the ability to just slowly shift across to the centre and learn to change the weight of your throw in making that adjustment.
Yeah. So as long as I keep calibrating where I am, take it to where I'm comfortable and carry on, and maybe just baby steps back across.
And it's quite a nice transitional way to deal with things rather than just going from here to there, to just slowly shifting yourself back. But the important thing is, using the centre line calibration, you can always make sure that when you're sighting off from the centre line, that you're still perfectly aligned and that your throw is still perfectly aligned to your sighting line.
Which is what we see in a lot of players, isn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah. All right, we hope that helps you, and we'll be back again soon with another SightRight update.